Ladies and gentlemen, it's a good day here in the paddock. It's a good day here at GRDC for one simple reason. We're back. After a bit of time away from the broadcast booth, my name is Ben Sapsford. It's an honor to be back once more. And with that, we have quite the treat for you all out here tonight. The GT3 Championship is here. It is upon us. And we have quite the event here today. We're here for the jewel in the crown of the calendar. And that jewel is Spa Francorchamps. 7-kilometer roller coaster of a circuit, 90-minute racing. But before that, we have 15 minutes of qualifying to do. It's good to be back, and it's good to see you all once again. And it's nice to have a real broadcast rocking and rolling, but let's see all the races as we get out onto the track. Worth mentioning, 3 different classes of car, all of them running in separate cohorts. And we will be seeing how these races are doing. Let's see exactly how they fare here. Worth looking into, of course, seeing where our drivers stand. And looking at the top of the gold class. To start things off nice and simple here today, it is none other than Alistair Ramsey's in the Ford Mustang here tonight. He's in the GT3. And then in second place is Davide Fasol. He's in the BMW. That M4 GT3 Evo, no less. So running optimal. And then in third place, it's going to be none other than Hendrik de Vries in the Porsche. We've come to know and love all too well. Taking a quick look over at Silver, as things are going to be rocking and rolling soon. Dan Birch in the McLaren 720S GT3 Evo. Frankenstaging in second position in the M4 as well. And if we can find him, Brian Jalise in third position. Finally, looking at the Drivers' Championship for the rest of the field in bronze. I'm going to try and find him. We have Raymond Hertog, but he seems to be stopping off the side of the field. He's not going to be going for a run this time. We are trying to see exactly who else is going to be out right now, but it looks like soon we will see some racers going in. We have Luca Gilbertini, but I don't see him out on the course in second position. And then finally we have Jules Flint in third place in the Aston Martin. But let's put that to the side for now as we see what the racers really have to show us, as qualifying is about to get underway in full swing. So currently eyes on as the drivers are really putting 110% into their qualifying runs here. There is not a lot of time to work with, not a lot of room to work with here. Given that it's Spa, given that it is the longest track, almost the longest track in motorsport, of course there are some very famous contenders for that title, there isn't many opportunities to be setting laps. And so with that comes an increased risk. Nobody is going to be safe, which means nobody is going to be resting on their laurels, and everybody is going to be bringing their A game in terms of lap time. So far, sector's looking good. 37.840. Fastest sector 1. That's going to be Jordan 40, who's not too far behind right now. We're going to see what the sector 2 times come up lining as well. Luca Gibby, 40.5. He's going to have to get a bit more improvement there if he wants to stand a chance fighting at the top in the sharp end. You can see Fasol pushing through. 63 seconds on sector 2 here as it comes through, and is going to be soon making his way to Blanchimont and then the bus stop chicane. Best sector 2 out of the grid so far, even pipping the likes of Tom Osborne and Jordan 40, who dominated in sector 1. The Osborne in particular might be a driver to watch, but let's see how it goes. Vassal into their final chicane, heavy on the brakes. You see them lighting up those carbon ceramics. Final corners now, and let's see what the timing table has in store for us all. As it comes to a head, it's going to be a first showing. It's a 2:20 for Vassal. And at 2:20.783, it's going to be a 2:19 coming from Chris Tedder, who's just come across the line. He's going to be in the Lexus of all cars, in the 999. And so there is a deluge of cars making their way through to the line as we speak. That timing board is going to have to do double duty to catch up with everything, as we have 9 or 10. Make that 12 as more come through. We got a range of 2:19 down to 2:24. A lot of drivers got a lot to prove. David Brzinda. Oh, that is a butchering of a pronunciation, and I do apologise. But coming up to the lines at 2:22.7. Staging, let's see what he can do in the Red Bull / red line adorned BMW livery. Let's see what's in the tank for staging. 2:20 is what you want to aim for, really. Comes up to line, it's a 2:34. Lost a lot of time in that second sector. I think this one was a bit of a recovery effort. Lorenzo Giganti up to the line now. 35 cars here on the track today. So there is a lot of trepidation about who is going to be coming out on top. 2:22.6 for Lorenzo, and that's going to be a neat and tidy run for him right here. Moving up towards the sharper end, we can see now that some drivers are trying to push their deltas up or down. Vassal's got a mighty improvement in Sector 1. If he can keep that momentum, he might be on track to dethrone Tedder in pole. He is going to be significantly down, however, in Sector 2. I think this one's going to be a dud. This might be a miss for the BMW. Let's see how Callum Scotland is doing. Very nice looking livery, I've got to say. A little bit of gravel pickup. Slightly disrupting his Sector 2 time. Hopefully he's able to keep it on the straight and narrow as we come up to the line in just a moment. It's currently P5 with the 2:21, but 2:20 is really where he wants to be. That's the sharp end. That's where you're going to see everyone give it 100. So up to the line, there's a few more drivers going to try their hand. Scotland has potential, but is it enough? 2:20.8. It's an improvement into the 20s here for the Aston Martin, and a nicely done job at that. Dean Illico is going to follow suit in the Mustang as well, get himself into 6th place and with a 2:20.9. So he is going to be one of 6 drivers who have reached that hallowed mark. Milan van Kompenol up to 21.0. So that's a neat and tidy P7 for another Mustang driver on this field. More racers, more stakes. Brandon Pfeiffer. He's tailing another McLaren right here. That Lamborghini is looking mean. Comes up, it's going to get a couple of tenths improvement into the 2:21s, but it's not going to be, I think, the big jump that he was going for, he's expecting. As qualifying has come past its halfway point so far, it's looking a little bit of a wild card as to who really is going to come on top. Giganti comes up to the line, and no major move here for him, unfortunately. We'll see how some of the other drivers are doing. So Jules Flint making his way through Sector 2 now, after just coming out Sector 1 with a 38.0. Decent improvement. It looks like he's really picking up the pace down into Puon. Cleanly done from the Aston. Just needs to keep momentum and get himself into a neat space. No major risk. Just hold the line. Hold it all together. It's looking nice for Flint. Just needs to keep things smooth through Blanchimont. Up to the line soon, but before that, bus stop chicane, lurking over a second gained. He's going to be able to get this one under books. This could be a major turnaround for him here. 1.2 seconds on the clock here and comes up to the line. It's a 2:21.4. That is a massive jump for Flint. He's up into 13th. Will anyone else have any heroics in store for us? I wonder if Tedder's got anything more to show after the really nice run to start things off here. He's got a one and done almost. Got a 2:19.7, refused to elaborate, and now he's just lapping his way around the track. 2:19.8 came in from Alistair Ramsey, though, under our noses, so he's the second driver to cross that barrier. The Antonio Montero coming through in the Lexus with a 2:20.8, pushing himself up into P7 past Dan Ellico, or Dean Ellico. Meanwhile, Mick Accuracy cruising his way around Puon, being chased by a Corvette not too distant. Could have a 2:21.0 on the card if he can link this up. Just keeping it nice and smooth here. Accuracy doing a good job. He's kept it about equal all the way through Sector 2, so points on him for consistency there. But how is he going to handle the chicane? A little bit of a tail slide, but still an improvement compared to his previous. This could put him in the 220s if he can bring it to the line in time. Let's see what he's got. Is it going to be enough? It's a 2:21.0. It's so close, but it's still enough for the top 10, as we see a couple of trade arounds. Callum Scotland just comes up to the line, gets himself a 2:20.2, and more drivers to come. Raymond Hertog, this driver we checked on him before, is the current leader of the Bronze Drivers' Championship. So right now, also looking at the manufacturers, it's worth discussing. Porsche is 5th in the standings. BMW currently holds a monumental 645 points. Hertog puts himself up into P16 and does a nice job for himself as he makes a 2:21.4. Now, we're 2 minutes left here in qualifying. Time is of the essence. We see Coppenol backing off ahead of the bus stop chicane, trying to optimize and get the perfect run in. Everyone's trying to set themselves up for success here, but surprise, surprise, results may vary. Jakob Borowick, you can see one of the Porsches behind him trying to push. He's going to be just behind Mick Accuracy, currently sitting on a 2:22.5. Question is, will he be able to link up a potential lap that puts him into the top 20? So far, he's gaining about half a second, which will put him into the 21s. But it's ebbing and flowing. It doesn't look like that Corvette is all that planted. Or at least he struggles a little bit with the rotation. So you can see gaining a lot of time, actually, through Sector 2 here. 63.2 Sector 2 time. That is up there with some of the betters in the top half of the grid. So certainly something to smile about. It pushes through here. Borowick coming up to the bus stop chicane. final 40 seconds and counting here on the session, so he might get another chance at another bite of the cherry, but it all comes down to the chicane here. Can he do it? He's got a really good run. He's almost made up an entire second. This is going to be a 2:21 easily, and it's going to be a 2:21.6, so that's up into 18th position, as many of the field up at the sharp end have elected to head into the pits and have decided that their runs are over. Davide Fasol in the third driver to get into the 2:19s with a .987. So we'll see what the rest of the field has to show here, as qualifying has officially drawn to a close. We have Hertog coming up to the bus stop chicane. You see a bit of rearward braking as he pulls his way through. He scrubs a bit of time through the chicane, but he still pulls out an overall improvement. That's going to be enough to slingshot him potentially up, and he does into P12. You see it, 19.759 is the pole time that stands, but Alistair Ramsey was challenging for it, had a best Sector 2 in session, but I don't think he's been able to link it up and make that magic happen. Ramsey, despite best efforts, is going to have to settle for a P2 today. 2:19.872, it's nothing to scoff at. It is a mighty fast time, but it's not the time I think that he was hoping for. Last few racers on the grid currently, as many of them do elect to return to the pits following middling to difficult runs. But last chances for many to solidify their positions. We can see, for example, Brian Gillies, he's teetering on the ragged edge of a qualifying time here. P25, he's got to make up 3/10 just to gain a single position. That's going to be on David, just in 24th. So last pushes for many of the field. How are we doing? So Mick Accuracy is going to be dipping off to the side of the field, as his run is, safe to say, his run is done. There is nothing to be gained from his continued pushing, because he's already down to an insalvageable degree. Gillies, can he get an improvement here? And he does. He gets into the 21s with a 919. That's 23rd here for Gillies. And with that, qualifying is as good as done. So there you go, folks. After a bit of a up and down qualifying all across the board, we have our full standings, as you can see here. We will take a full tour of the grid in just a moment when we go to the starting grid, but you can see everyone returning to the pits now. Things are going to get interesting here for Spa, as like we said, 90 minutes. 90 minutes are going to be filled with racing action, and here we go. Let's set the starting order and let's get down to business. Starting from the top, we have Chris Tedder taking pole position alongside Alistair Ramsey, rounding out the front row. There's going to be Davide Fasol and Tom Osborne completing row 2 in the BMW and the Ferrari. And then another BMW, John 40, is going to be paired up with Callum Scotland in P6. Row 4 is going to go to Davy Hill in the Lexus RCF. Also alongside him in the Lexus is Antonio Montero. Completing your top 10 is Dean Ellico and Mick Accuracy in the Mustang and the BMW respectively. Going on to row 6 is Milan van Koppenol in the Mustang, and in the Porsche it's Raymond Hertog, Luca Gibby in the Ferrari, and Oliver Zewig in the McLaren. Row 8 is going to be Dan Birch also in the McLaren, alongside Jules Flint in P16 for the Vantage. And then Brandon Pfeiffer in the Lamborghini, rare pick here, alongside the Porsche of Hendrik de Vries. Completing row 10 is going to be Jakub Borovic in the Corvette, with Dominique Guis in P20 in the Ferrari. Adrian Riley is going to be in the McLaren for P21, and Dan Wilson in the BMW P22. Brian Jalise in 23rd with also the McLaren, and Franklin Stajink with the BMW. David Zivinda in P25 in the BMW alongside the Mercedes of Alex Perry, and we'll have to quickly round off that starting grid because everyone's going to get moving fast. So we had Anthony Victor Scheppel, Jasper Alebosch, Lorenzo Giganti, Mark Kerner, Chris Dawes, Stephen Van Cloyson, Chris Willems, Nathan Warren and Alex Obi to complete your order here on the track today, folks. And with that, the field has set off. The field is moving. It's about to get wild. 90 minutes of racing awaits. Of course, if you've got any drivers that you have... I completely lost my train of thought there. If you have any drivers that you are supporting out there, then make it known, make it heard in that live chat as we're about to go racing. Hey, Callum here, info about my livery. Usually was green, is actually purple, but swapped it out for the green for mental health awareness. Well, that is a noble cause, my friend. That is a very noble cause and absolutely respect it 100%. So thank you for that insight. So if your liveries have a story to tell, by all means tell them. But here we go. Everyone's going to be lining up in double file in just a moment as we get things ready to set off. Oluge and Radion are going to be absolutely frenetic. Not to mention the Camel Straight, the drag race that it is. And with all of that being said, we are in for a major race. The track is hot and away we go. Immediately, there's going to be a major push as there's combat left, right and centre. Chris Tedder's on the defensive, covers off the apex. Ramsey alongside Fasshole, all going to go for it. That's going to be the Ferraris into the dirt. That is Tom Osborne having to take to the gravel. There's going to be Callum Scotland as well, going for the attack through Oluge and Radion. He's going to try and secure it early days. Beautiful run in there, beautiful attack, and immediately going to see a lot of challenge here. You can see one of the Ferraris, I think that's Dominique Guis, going around the side and taking evasive action rather than get themselves into trouble. It's a 3 wide as we come down here, and even further down you can see there is a lot of cars looking to jump and chase on position. Fasshole's got himself into second. Chaos alongside as multiple cars are going to be racing against one another. So we're trying to get the best view as we can, but unfortunately the car limit is somewhat hampering that here. Mick Accuracy going on the attack here. As we see side by side, that's Pfeffer and Stejink, it looks like. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel combat here as they come down and heading into Puan in just a moment. They're making their way down the hill now. Say one of the most vertical races on the calendar of any motorsport, and with the most amount of altitude change, and that does play havoc on you sometimes. Jakub Borovic coming up hot as the Mercedes AMG of, I believe that's Alex Perry, is under threat. Dawid is challenging for space and position. There's also going to be a little bit of fighting further up. This is going to be Tom Osborne. Meanwhile, as the Ferrari, once being segregated down to the gravel, is going for the counter. Scotland in 4th, Ramsey up ahead, but Osborne wants to get back to where he was, back to the status quo. The question is, how hard is he willing to commit so early in this race? He goes a little bit hotter, has to jump and stomp on the brakes, as he's not going to want a collision this early on either. You can see 90 minutes of racing is underway now, and immediately the tensions are high. Hertog going to be side by side. Meanwhile, you can see just going further down, that's against Coppenol. And the Porsche has the inside, but chooses to back off a little bit early here. I think maybe trying to outbrake the Mustang, but it's somewhat backfired. Hertog's actually going to leave himself open as Dewig is pushing to either side of him and trying to run a little bit more aggressive. Into the Camel Straight, of course, is when we're going to see a bit of combat, as the two Lexuses of Montero and Hill are now going to go for it. have seen a yellow flag coming out. We have Lorenzo Giganti being our first DNF here of the day. And unfortunately, that is going to spell disaster for that driver. Sadly, they're going to be seeing a very early exit. A real shame. A real shame, to be sure. Jules Flint on the Hendrik de Vries now, and all contact and the slide. Flint is into the wall there. Major collision and contact with the front into the barrier. That's a serious wound that's not going to get patched up so quickly. Gies and Zhuig still running pretty hot to one another, but not wanting to let each other go. Copano as well. Going to go for the challenge this time on Dean Ellico. Still on the chase here. We're seeing a bit of spacing out now. At this point, the drivers trying to get a bit of room on the course and keep themselves out of trouble by and large. You see 3 laps under the belt now. So we did unfortunately see Alex Perry go for a DNF there. That was our second casualty of the day. Not too surprised, all things considered. Not too surprised, unfortunately. They're powering down the Kemmel Straights. It's a hard-fought position. As already the challenges are being made. At this point, just trying to see exactly where the drivers want to land themselves. There's not too much value in an early fight, because you're going to be burning yourself out before the race has really kicked off. We'll see if Ramsey has got what it takes. But he's got the gumption to go for an attack on Fasol. Remember, there's 2 fights going on here as well. There's not only the fight for yourself as a driver, but there's the Manufacturers' Championship too. There's a lot riding on multiple facets of today and the racing. Say BMW is currently the leader, and that is in no small part thanks to drivers like Fasol. As they are currently leading on Ramsey. Thanks in no small part, he's now able to hold on to this position. And looks like we have got a yellow flag here, as there is going to be Chris Willems in P30 right now. But limping his Mercedes AMG back to the pits, wingless and downforceless. As this is not looking good. He's luckily going to be able to do it right in front of the pits. But looks like we have got major chaos happening further down, as that is going to be FIFA just playing witness. Staging off the side of the grid and off the side of the field. What is going on here? As we're trying to get an exact home in on what is happening. That Luca Gibby? Luca Gibby is seemingly going really slow on the track and say slamming into walls, cutting across the field. That is not a good look. He's in a very wounded car by all accounts. Looks like his steering is messed up. Yeah, it looks like he's fighting his steering. He's having to limp that car all the way back home. Meanwhile, Osborne still on the back of Scotland. Really feeling the pressure. Yeah, there's no rest for the best here, and there's no exception. Mick Accuracy is going to be in a spot of bother, as he's going to be our third DNF of the evening. And Ramsey up in third, still chasing onto Fassel. There's a lot that could go wrong here at Spa. We're 10 minutes in. And there is a lot of opportunity for gains, but also the potential to lose big time. We're going to see a bit of a challenge there. Say Dan Birch is going to be just behind, but Allebush and Van Cloyson, these two are really going to be going side by side here as we come out of La Source. The two of them switch places. They're both going to continue their push into Eau Rouge and Radion. The BMW is going to be just up ahead of the McLaren here. And a hefty battle turning into a clean execute for position. But is it done yet? Van Cloyson could still get a bit of slipstream here. And that might be their ticket. But doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like you're really able to push in the same way. While Osborne is still putting immense amount of pressure down on Callum Scotland here. Ridiculous amounts of pressure by this point, as he's been tailing him for a very long time. Really, since the start of the race here. Things are looking a little bit overcast here in Belgium. I wonder if that is a foreboding sign of things to come. We'll see if he's got a chance here. Gibby and Stijink heading into the pits, boxing in. And it has to, given the circumstances. Osborne getting very close. A little bit of a snap on the tail here for Scotland. Could be a fighting chance. The Ferrari tees himself up alongside. And while the Aston does hold on to the apex, there might be an opportunity here. If he can get a good run out of Eau Rouge and Radion, down the Kemmel Straight is fair game. But they're going to have to watch out. If either of them make a mistake, 40 is right there to capitalise on what could very easily become a double position. So you can see Osborne still giving it the beans. Really closing in, coming in quite hot now. There's going to be Scotland on the defensive. Osborne is going to reel in closer, but the apex is under the hold of the Aston. The Ferrari takes it a little bit hotter, skates across the curbs. In fact, I think making minor contact with Scotland there. The two continue to go side by side through Le Combe. Once again, a bit of gravel here for Osborne, but he does get the position. Scotland's on the ropes. All of a sudden, his position has been threatened, and now 40 is going to make it a twofer as he comes alongside in the BMW, making his way down out of Bruxelles into No Name and now through Pouon. The BMW is certainly chomping at the bit for any kind of snaking chance at position. Scotland has to yield a little bit of space on the inside. He doesn't want any casualties. It is about survival. To finish first you have to finish, as the old adage goes. And therein lies the key part of these drivers' race efforts. It's all well and good fighting hard and fighting forwards, but if you aren't able to be consistent and you put yourself at risk, then you are in major trouble. More than if you ever were fighting for a normal position. We'll see if anyone else has got a chance to challenge. I say Ramsey still trying to chase Passhole with all his might, but it's not quite landing just yet. Dominic Geese hunting for a spot in the top 10 with Dean Ellico up in the front view. Ellico just trying to get the best laps that he can, as it's not going to be easy running. Meanwhile, we got quite a set of cars down in the P20s. We've got everyone from Kerner down to the Van Cloysen running pretty close. A little bit of sliding as the car's trying to kick round. Kerner on the defense, as Alabosch going for an attack on the inside, putting the nose in the BMW, but the Mustang is having none of it. Going all in, hardcore right now. No holds barred. A40 still hot to the heels of Scotland as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on those two. But Bordewick and Riley, another duo. This time heading down the Kemmel Straight. Riley on the defense, Bordewick on the attack of the McLaren versus Corvette battle. With 30 drivers remaining, looks like Alex Obi and Nathan Warren did not actually join us here on the track today, so that is going to be a bit unfortunate. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Bordewick and Riley still keeping it close. They will of course keep an eye on the likes of Scotland and 40 as well at the same time in the background, but this is looking like something could be brewing as we head down into Blanchimont soon. You see here is going to be Bordewick coming up hot. Riley is on the defense best he can. He holds the apex coming into Blanchimont, but the Corvette takes a wide swing. Has to tuck back in again, but this could be a chance through the bus stop chicane. The Corvette playing it a bit conservatively. No chance yet. Well, there might have been a chance on the table. It could have very well have been a red herring, a move that would not have stayed had he committed to it. The Dominic Geese managing to get past both of Jubik and Ellico in the meantime. See, he's really in his own pocket of the track now. He's got 5 seconds between himself and Van Coppenol, but that gap looks to be fluctuating. So watch this space. Now see if Bordewick has got the chance to go for it. So the Kemmel Straight keeps fairly narrow. Fairly narrow gap. Neither of them dropping beyond half a second. Just keeping it consistent and smooth. Isn't going to be being the one to come out on top. Riley's been cracking under the pressure. Unfortunate for him, he's going to be conceding on this one, but he's not completely outstuck just yet. I think there's still time. There's still plenty of time here. But things are looking fairly heavy in terms of potential rain. Now, I'm purely speculating here. I don't actually know the weather, but the overcast, it definitely is. And looking like a big opportunity. If rain came, it would really shake things up. See Birch and Kerner coming in hot. And we see an attack coming in from Birch. Even the McLaren can chase the Ford down. See Birch going for a bit of a challenge, but it's not going to be a challenge that really makes any difference. No merit to that one. We're seeing a lot of the gaps grow quite large. I mean, you got the top 6 very much separated. Even Osborne to Ramsey is 3.5 seconds, but then a whole 8 seconds between Hill and 40. So there's a lot of work to do if he wants to challenge for the top 5, but we'll have to see if he's got the chance and got what it takes. Birch continues the challenge on Kerner, but he's got a bit of an assailant of his own in the form of Van Cloysen. Have his own kind of pressures now. Whatever the other McLaren does not show in terms of gumption and race pace, Van Cloysen is very much there to take the challenge and take the fight too. See Birch and Van Cloysen coming in real hot there. So kind of for a moment looking like he was under massive stress. As the timing boards briefly had a bright moment. Oliver Zhuig potentially challenging on Ellico once more for a top 10. Staying within about half a second now. And curiously, we got a couple of drivers who are heading into the box. Say Montero into the box, for instance, and putting himself in a bit of an odd spot. We'll have to see where he comes out. How this affects him relative to the others. So, taking a round of things here. We're about a third of the way through tonight. There is going to be, of course, a lot to look forward to. Now, so we do unfortunately say goodbye to Chris Willems as our fourth DNF of the session, meaning we're down to 29 drivers on the track tonight. Sad to see as always, but sometimes that's racing. We're about a third of the way through. We're coming up to it. And the field is starting to form into distinctive packs. You've got the top six. Then a massive run. Oh no, saying that, Davy Hill is off the side of the course. That's going to be out through Puon, I believe. A major catastrophe hitting here for the Lexus. There is no salvation here. He's down all the way into 12th. Bit of a testament, though, to the lead that he's gained and able to hold, as that isn't catastrophic. He's still just been able to recover and pull himself back into the game. Okay, Broderick coming up very close to the back of Chappelle. Meanwhile, ample chance for an overtake, but not going to be jumping the gun. And I think that's an important thing here with racing strategy. Big deal here is, of course, the field converging at key points. And we will see some strategic changeovers as well, not to mention. The question is, who's going to be the one to take it all to the head and really give us a fight worth talking about at the very end? You see Zhuig chasing on Elico here. Was at one point very close, I think, coming out of the source, but wasn't able to make that stick. Currently in P10. Of course, worth noting as well that the drivers do technically run in different classes, so what you may see on the track may not fully be congruent with the position in their class and who they're actually fighting against, as Borowick goes for a mighty attack on Chappelle and seemingly makes it stick quite convincingly through Lecombe. Out of Marmody into Purcell. The Lexus doesn't really have a counter. So the Corvette takes a clean run and clean position. No notes. Successful overtake, top marks. Alabosch onto Riley, half a second. Half a second with Pfeiffer to Zabinda. Davy Hill coming up onto the back of Dan Wilson and actually overtaking him in quite a swift motion. This is a driver now on the mission. Hill, of course, having his off in Puon. That's going to have knocked his confidence, but it looks like he's embracing that challenge and really bringing the fire to the racetrack. He's up into P11 now, and This is going to be quite the affair, watching him rise back up. So Wilson does still have a chance to take this one back. Let's not get that confused. But he's not going to have an easy time, especially considering Hill is already seeming to pull out a good chunk of pace. We're coming right up to that proper 30-minute mark now. Again, things are overcast, but we're not seeing any sign of the tide shifting. For a lot of the races here, I think that's for the best. I think that's the last thing some of the drivers here want. But saying that is not going to be an easy ride. Hertog. Let's see how he's doing against Wilson here, because Wilson, since being overtaken by Davey Hill, has kind of dropped off in terms of pace. Hertog has a position chance here, could get himself back up to P12 where he started. Board now down to 4 digits. Zubik still attacking on Elico, but we'll check on them in a moment. The Alabosh and Riley could make much of the same. We are going to see Jules Flint in the box. And is going to be dropping back down to the bottom of the order. You see that Aston in the pits now. And that it's all geared and greased to go. We're just going to keep things trained here for a moment. As Alabosh has got a bit of a clean slate. As Riley and Birch looking like they're going to be more in each other's space than anything. Birch could be a major threat here to Riley if not played effectively. Okay, the two of them charging their way down. Both of them snaking their way through the bus stop. And even further down, say Van Cloysen. There's quite the turnaround. See, there's Cloysen still trying to chase on, but I don't think that this is the time. Meanwhile, at a lot of the top end of the field, you can see the time gaps are quite expansive. There isn't going to be really a gap, so to speak, as there is a consistent 2 seconds between every driver. And that only extrapolates further as you go down the order. Some drivers within a half second of each other, say Pfeiffer and Zabinder. But then you look at the likes of, say, Zabinder to De Vries is 6.5 seconds. 4 seconds between Wilson and Hill. 7.7 seconds between Ellicoat and Geese. 9 between Coppenol and 40. Just to name a few. 43.9 seconds between Jalise and Cloysen. So some drivers are in separate races entirely. What you have at the moment is a tale of micro battles in the larger scale of a race. Just enjoying and appreciating the racing as it goes. I was taking a more sort of relaxed approach, I think, with this one. Not watch along per se, but as the field reaches a relative mellowing out, it's almost taking a bit of a moment to appreciate the races in their own right. Looking exactly at where we see the field. I mean, even looking further down, we can see drivers starting to lap another. I think that's, for example, I want to see exactly who that is. Yeah, that's Luca Gibby. So Chris Dawes is into the box with a missing wing. I think we had a minor excursion off the course momentarily earlier. That's a large part of it, but you can see people's window wipers are starting to move, which can only mean one thing: the heavens have opened. Well, 52 minutes ago, it looks like rain is officially on the table, although you can't quite see it, unfortunately. We have got a bit of a predicament for our drivers now. Question is, do they want to be fighting alongside their brethren on the course, or do they want to try and undercut the weather itself and go earlier onto a different set of tyres? These are still slicks, even if they are a bit more versatile and durable than other racing equivalents, they are still racing slicks. The minute they start encountering water, aquaplane is the name of the game. So, standing water to be avoided at all costs. That's what comes to pass. You can see Zhuig having to tail off despite being such close proximity through Eau Rouge and Radion. I think just for safety, if nothing else. Not wanting any casualties. As there is going to be Pfeiffer taking a bit more of a experimental line, shall we say, coming out of this section. So they're going to go for the challenge and potentially peel up alongside, but it's not going to be enough for the Lamborghini. Just not enough oomph in the tank. Kerner, meanwhile, onto the back of Van Cloysen. He's trying to peel this one back here. He peeks to the right, but it doesn't hit. Just trying to get a move and square it away before the wet weather really takes hold of this race circuit. I mean, you can see almost the desperation on the drivers' faces as they run their way through this course, and Pfeiffer is going to be challenging on the inside of Pouan, but again, doesn't have the grip. We saw that once, and we see that again here as he's stuck in the middle. He's got Borowick and Alabosch right there. There is some major trouble brewing, as that is going to be a bit of a fight for position with P25 muscling his way through and kind of crowbarring the door open for Borowick here as they try to go for challenge. Montero is a lap down. You can see Pfeiffer is going to go into the gravel as we come out into Sector 3. That's going to be Borowick's opportunity. The Corvette is up into P16. Taking a little bit further away, say, damn Birch. See a bit of a split off now as we do see some drivers heading off into the pits. Adrian Riley heading in there, for example. Jordan Forty is going to be in as a DNF here, which is a very major concern. That has shaken up the top order. Makes you wonder what exactly has gone on there. But say Dominic Geese currently in P7 trying to chase things down, but look, the rain is indeed falling. Things have gotten a lot darker, and I expect that in just say a few short moments a lot of drivers will be making a couple of considerations about how they want to run this race next. You can see Adrian Riley has taken that early jump, taken the leap of faith, but all the rest of the field follows suit. The Iron Lynx Lamborghini in a very nice bright yellow. I wonder how vibrant that is by the end of a full-on race, because that is a colour that easily will get sort of deteriorated and dirty and pick up a lot of grime over the course of a race or from the surface of the track. We do have a yellow flag coming out. There is a question, there is a concern about exactly what is happening. We're trying to get a trace on what is going on. You see a couple of plumes of gravel dust as everyone is just trying to go for that frenetic mad dash in the laps that remain. We can see Fassol and co heading into the pits now. Tedder, Van Coppenol, Geese, Scotland all going in. Would not be surprised to see many of the others following suit, although Illico makes a choice to stay out. Zhuig heads in. It's going to be Hill as well, and oh, massive contact into the wall for Pfeiffer there. You can see spinning that Lamborghini by like a Beyblade, and is not the only one too. Casualties up and down the order, as there was the Lexus as well. I don't know if Ivor can even move the car. I think he might be actually stranded. I think he might be in some serious trouble here. We did see a Jalise as well as many, many others heading into the pits. Ooh, hovering into the pits there in some cases. Racers now returning to the track. Okay, the wet weather is going to prove to be a curveball for many. Osborne getting real close now to the back of Ramsey here. This could be a great equalizer. Osborne still has a chance here, and Osborne is going to be skating his car into the pit lane just ahead of Ramsey. I wonder how Ellico is faring, because he also stayed out right here. And I'm sure that he's going to be absolutely hemorrhaging time. Same with Wilson. Fasshole, I think, is going to be the furthest up ahead who is actually pitted in. We have seen many DNFs as a result of this chaos unwrapping on the field. So, starting from the bottom up, your DNFs: Lorenzo Gigante in 35th, Alex Perry 34th, Mick Accuracy in 33rd, Chris Willems in 32nd, Chris Dawes in 31st, Antonio Montero in P30. 29th is Jordan 40, and Brandon Pfeiffer, we saw they take that colossal spin out in P28. Then with Warren in 27th, 26th being Alex Obi, who did not join the track today. We are 10 drivers down. 10 drivers down since the beginning. Curiously, Tedder is down in P9 now, which isn't a position that I expected at all. Ellico and Wilson now rightfully heading into the pits. I think that was a wise choice there. Question is, where is Osborne and Ramsey? Looks like Ramsey is a couple of crucial seconds behind. This will come to bite him. This is definitely going to come to bite him in terms of race strategy down the line. You can see many drivers now switching to a wet compound of tyre. And I think that is certainly the wisest move. We are over halfway in the race, and the last thing you want to do is throw that all in the bin, throw that away for a reckless move. Davide Fasol is going to be the one who leads after all of this. To say Tom Osborne is going to be rejoining the track about 7 seconds later, and then Ramsey a further 3.5 as Callum Scotland goes for a big slide coming out and nearly goes into the path of, luckily, slightly avoiding the path of Franklin Staging, who just comes out of the pits there. Big old danger moment, heart in mouth there, as Scotland tried to get his bearings back and inadvertently nearly crossed that white line. Well, if you know about racing, you know that white pit line you do not cross. That is your safe line. Crossing that is a no-no, no-go. Dan Wilson emerging out of the pits now. Let's see if he can rejoin in time. He gets his 2 wheels up on the grass as he tries to power through. And rejoining the track at a relative race pace, but he's down in P13 as Borowicz is just going to get past. Ooh, Davey Hill He's going to be stopped on track, completely wingless, and that is going to be another DNF, as Tedder has also DNF'd, meaning that we have 10 retirees, 2 non-starters, 23 cars. That is all we have now. We have lost over a third of the racing cohort here today. That is insane stuff here. I don't even know what to say to that other than drivers, make it home. Please, please, just make it home. So De Vries really cutting it fine, chasing to the back of Ellico. The rain is very much coming down hard, and you can see that glossiness permeating the entire track. Even you've got a little bit of spray coming up from the cars. That's how we're dealing with things. So hopefully you get to see a dry line start to form with the cars. The goal is displace enough water that you find a bit of a dry line. You can see Dominic Geese going for an attack on Van Coppenol onto the side, and the Mustang does still have the inside, but the Ferrari had the superior pace. Beautifully executed here, and with the wet weather, there's not much room for counter. Before you know it, Geese is up in P5 and proving to be one of the silent risers out of all of this competition. De Vries is still challenging onto the back of Ellico, as Ellico holds on to a steadfast P8. Shame to see so many drivers be retiring out here. Spa is a cruel mistress, especially in the wets, and we have seen that out here tonight. It's just a shame that so many drivers got caught out by its righteous fury. De Vries running as close as he can. Meanwhile, back up to the front, top 5, and Geese went for the 4th position, did have it, but then slamming into the wall, just losing the traction. Rouge and Radion punishing the Ferrari, and I wonder how well he's going to be able to run after that. That looked like an absolute nightmare. The other cars seem to have come out of it okay, but I do worry for how Geese is running. Was he able to almost mitigate any of the major damage? One can only hope. Big East down to P6 now. Let's see if he's able to pull anything back. De Vries losing time to Dean. And Dean himself trying to catch up to Zhuig. No chances for breathing room here. So, 35 minutes, 12 non-starters slash non-finishers, 10 casualties. The duel in the crown has got some casualties on its hands. So we've got Brandon here in the chat confirming he spun and smacked the rear end, which killed the engine, leaving him unable to continue. Shame to hear it, my friend. Say, unfortunately, weren't able to finish the race today, but still put up a valiant effort and really were fighting that Lamborghini and driving it tooth and nail here. We're going to see Ellico going for the challenge on Zhuig, but stuck in a rock and a hard place. He's going to tuck back in, try and get a bit more aggressive on the apex and get a bit more on the throttle, but with the wet weather, that hasn't quite gone to plan. Got De Vries is there, who is waiting in the wings, seeing if there's any kind of major mistake that he can capitalize on. And oh no, looks like there was contact, it seems. Ellico is spun round and manages to, I think for the most part, dodge the wall. But that is going to put him past or behind Zhuig, De Vries and Hertog as he now rejoins the order. See, that spray is really kicking up something fierce now. I imagine from the perspective of the drivers, it might be barely legible. You can barely see the car ahead of you. Imagine that is a difficult time, to say the least. Now 23 remaining cars, say Luca Gibby at the bottom, all the way up to Davide Fasol at the front, who's just started out lap 24. They're trying to gun it and keep the gap as high as he can. As Ramsey has lost position to Tom Osborne, and currently sitting in third place. See Ramsey going very much all on the attack, but consistently losing time. Makes me wonder if he's actually able to peel back those times and peel back that time loss. We've got a 2:32 versus 2:33 best, at least in the wet here. De Vries going to go for the challenge on Zhuig here, go and get the apex through the source, but a kick of the rear axle. That might prove to be his downfall here. The McLaren itching for an immediate counter-attack. say De Vries is going to be on the defensive now as the McLaren is trying to close that gap in. He's bringing it down tenths at a time, but I think De Vries has got this one under control. Low drama move. Well executed. Zabinda still going for an attack on Kerner. Zabinda getting a really good run out of Eau Rouge and Radion. They're going to be squeezing all the way. It's going to be two wheels on the grass, barely holding on. Zabinda had no choice, but I think to tuck back their self-preservation dictates. Naughty move, cheeky move there from Kerner, but that was a way to keep him back, that's for sure. Crazy enough, these are the two closest cars right now. The next closest are 1.6 seconds from each other. Zabinda still keeping good proximity, but not enough yet to really go for that move again. Both of them being 104 seconds behind the leader. It effectively puts them out of any kind of contention, but they've got their own race to deal with here. You can compare, say, Borowick and Wilson. The two of them are going to be coming up hot. Not the first rodeo between these two cars. But let's see what this Corvette has to show us. I think most importantly, who is going to be coming out clean from this? As I say, the spray and the mist is just next level. Really is very little seeing through that, especially once it stacks up. Borowick coming in hot, trying his best to challenge. Borowick still cutting it fine. Now, the risk always is when you're driving in wet weather, you have much less control of your car. Just being realistic, being blunt. And that lessened control, sometimes you feel emboldened. You want to take a bit more risk, thinking that the rest of the field is going to be a bit safer, and that's your chance to strike. But it can also leave you in a spot of hot water. It can leave you in some bother. Once you go past that threshold in the wet, it's much harder to get it back. And we're going to see Borowick really going into the latter side of the scale. He challenges hard onto the back of Wilson. P11 in the grasp. Two of them go side by side into the bus stop chicane. Borowick going a little bit later, trying to get the switch back, but just being blocked off through artistic positioning of the BMW. The Corvette hadn't really got anywhere to go, and so the move is safe for now. Borwick is still within half a second, but we're going to tune out for him for now because we could have a fight for the lead before we know it. Osborne, in all of his fight and all of his might, has actually managed to pull in to within a second of Fasshole and is actually gaining on him. Looks like we have seen a casualty in the form of Jules Flint, as they have lost the car and dropped down massively. But eyes back to top. Osborne chasing Fasshole. Just nervous to see how Osborne takes this one. There isn't a lot of room for error. You've got 25 minutes on the clock, which sounds like a lot, but in this company, in these conditions, making up 1.5 seconds, let's say, in that time is no small feat. Made up a ton of time already, but now it's crunch. It really is crunch time to see if he's able to make this one work. Wilson also still going to be running close with Borwick. I say Borwick is actually up ahead, but Wilson looking like he's going to be setting up a counter. And let's check in on those two. So the Corvette going for that fighting send. Looks like it was successful, but Wilson isn't going to let that one go. Not going to let it slide anytime soon. As we head up Eau Rouge Radion now. Wilson getting a decent run, but only enough to pull in a couple of tenths by the end of the Kemmel Straight. Oh, we got flashbang there by the spray. That was quite a sight. And you see, drivers are actually having to pull out the spray just to see the rest of the corner. Too close in that spray and you are effectively blind. The moisture still falls. And the rain's still high. The Osborne still is going to be one to watch in the back line, as there will be a chance for him to take the lead if he plays his cards right in these next few crucial laps. We have less than 10 laps remaining. The second here between Wilson and Borwick. I think this fight might be conceded, especially with Wilson's poor exit into Sector 3. He's now 1.5 seconds down. I think that is curtains. So let's tune ourselves over to P5. Milan van Koppenol. No rest for the best, and this driver is no exception. Within a second to Callum Scotland. So let's see what he has in store. As he's peeling off to one side, so he's not going to be gaining much time, but he is gaining enough. And just trying to keep out of the way of the spray. This is going to be Osborne still chasing down as well. Through Pouon. One's going to be close. Be quite close between the two. Fassel and Osborne. There's a quarter of a second in it, give or take. I see Osborne still going for the challenge here. These two. I expect them to come up pretty hot. In the next couple of laps, this is going to come to blows. I can guarantee you that. Question is, can Osborne keep the heat turned up? I don't know if he can. I'm quite concerned that as soon as he gets close, he loses the time again. Fassel just doesn't seem like he can be touched at this point. See, within half a second now, Osborne and Fassel making their way down through the stablo. And now question is, will Osborne pull the trigger? He's 4/10 down. He's got 18 minutes, so that's going to be about 6 to 7 laps. Will he pull the trigger? I don't know. I feel like he's doing a lot of umming and ahhing about the attack and certainly getting real close, but it's not quite materializing into him. All saying that contact at the final corner. Big old slide coming in from Osborne. Not the quiet kind of coming to blows that I had in mind for the record, folks. I knew I guaranteed it, but I didn't exactly have that in mind. So within half a second now, making their way down the hill into, once again, Eau Rouge and Radion. Now, is he going to go for the attack on Kemmel Straight, or is he going to have to yield off? The BMW looks like it really seems to take off as we get to this section of the course. So I wonder exactly, maybe there's a difference in setup, or what? See Osborne getting real close. They 2/10 now. Oh, you can see Osborne. He's going to go for it. He's going to actually pull up side by side now. This could be the chance here. The two of them bang wheels. They lock together. They're locking horns all the way through the third sector. Blanchimont, hard outside line. The Ferrari has to yield. The BMW goes off track. It's going to be a quick return, and the Apex is on the lockdown from Vassal here. Both of them come together in the bus stop. Space is left. Good sportsmanship being shown. The two of them drag racing. In the end, Osborne is going to be ahead, but for how long? This is the question here, as Vassal is going to remain very close to the back. In fact, peels to the left side, trying to go once again for the challenge, and the BMW is going to try and get a bit of a switchback, goes very narrow on the exit, tries to get a bit faster on the throttle. He knows that this is the dominant section of the track for him. He can get them run, but he needs to get the nose ahead through Eau Rouge and Radion. He just about does it. Can he hold it together though? He closes the door on the Ferrari. The two are once again locked in heated combat all the way throughout the edge, and now into the Camel Straight. That Ferrari really tucking in as much as he can. Spray be damned. The Beamer trying to go on the defensive and trying to hold the inside line of the track and make sure the Apex is off limits to that Ferrari. The two go side by side. It's a bit of a dart down the edge as Osborne is going to challenge through Lecombe into Marmady. The nose ahead. It's the Lime Ferrari. Tiny bit of gravel grab as they both come down the hill now. Tiny touch of the tyres as well. The two of them brushing doors and knocking each other's. As Brissell and No Name are there for the taking. Looks like Osborne is having to take a bit of a concession there through the first sector and into sector 2 now. And all the way through, the two are refusing to relent. The endless pressure between these racers is palpable. See, once again, Osborne, the Ferrari, is going to go side by side, just coming out of poo on there, getting a good run, once again challenging, refuses to leave anything on the table here as the two go once again locking up wheel to wheel, and out as Stavolo. Looks like the Ferrari is going to be the one that comes out on top. Is there going to be any kind of combat from Fasol, or is it too far to call? It's half a second between the two. I think Osborne might have this. Osborne is actually going to have this one on lock. So nicely done there from the Ferrari. That has been definitely the moment of the race. Undisputed. See, Hertog is going to be almost following it on with some fighting of his own. And Zhuik looks to be the one in the crosshairs of Hertog. So the two of them coming together into Blanchimont here. So we'll keep an eye on the deltas between Osborne and Fasol in case the two come together again. But let's take a bit of attention to the rest of the field for the moment. You can see Hertog is they're not running too close, but is keeping him within proximity. See if Hertog has anything in the tank, but it doesn't look like he's quite close enough to really make anything of this one. This is going to be something that has to whittle down over the next couple of laps, but he's running out of time. Ellico is also there in P10 and looking to challenge any kind of mistakes these two drivers make. So time is of the essence here. If he does want to make anything happen, he has to do it really within these next 2 to 3 laps and then lock that in. It's like Hertog's taking that one to heart. Jewig's going to take a bit of a wider line through Bruxelles into None. And heading down into P1, it looks like we see just in the background Ellico taking a bit of a slide. Trying to keep his composure as Borowick could be closing in within a second. See if Jewig is going to keep full control of this. They've all had some good running time in the wet, but the rain is still coming. There's no signs of it easing off. Dry line is all but a fantasy. As we'll see Hertog get within a quarter of a second now as we head out of Stavelot. And then through Paul Frere into Blanchemont. Gap being pulled on Jewig's side, but not going to be a monumental one, as still within half a second is still within striking distance. Oh, we could almost see the glimpses. I was waiting with bated breath to see if he's going to go for it there, but Hertog had to back off, and I actually think that was the wiser move here. There wasn't anything that he could really do that was going to result in anything other than a casualty. I think in the wet, you have to be 100% confident in your driving and 100% confident in your moves. Going for anything with a slight chance of repercussions is generally very ill-advised. I would not recommend it at all, considering you will be put against the wall or into the wall by your opponent if things go south. Hertog taking the smart move and yielding off. Self-preservation is a powerful thing. Jakub Borowick, in the meanwhile, in the background, we didn't quite get to catch it in full scope, but Ellico, through repeated mistakes, has actually allowed the Corvette to overtake, and Ellico is down into P11 with Borowick in the top 10. Vasshol has dropped 2 seconds now to Tom Osborne, so he's very much taken the reins of this and he's run away. So 5 minutes to go. We've had a lot of ups and downs in this race, and despite some more silent periods, it has been quite the spectacle to watch. We've had a little bit of a calmer one in the mid-pack once things settled off the initial. We had a couple of fighting points that really took things up a notch, especially in the lead. And crazy to think that Osborne now has completely gapped and has really made quite the space between himself and P2. In just that small span of track. Quite miraculous to me anyway. But it has been really good to be back. They unfortunately not been able to broadcast the whole championship up until this point for a variety of reasons, but I was very happy to come back and broadcast the jewel in the crown of the calendar. And hopefully opportunities open up in the future to where we can make a full-fledged broadcast return, but at least for the time being, I'm going to count the blessings and the opportunities that we do get, and tonight is no different. I mean, well, thank Alistair, of course, for being the one to sort of take the reins of this and invite us back for the race here tonight. And with 4 minutes to go, we're going to see how this comes to a thrilling conclusion. Zaborowic going to go for the attack on Hertog. And space being left, but nobody is going to come out happy. Elico is actually going to get drawn in with every passing move. Zhuig is already pulled out about a second and a half. Borowick is going to challenge harder, though. He's going to go yet again on the offensive, and Hertog looks like he almost backed off on purpose. I think that might be a strategic move. Let him go ahead and then pick up the scraps vulture style. That could be a strategy that works if we were 2 laps earlier. I think it's a little bit too little too late to pull that one back. Capitalise fully. Down the Camel Straight. So many drivers looking for a chance. So Elico even could be going back into the top 10 if Hertog doesn't pick up the pace. 0.3 of a second split the two. Everyone else on the track is a minimum of 2.5 seconds splitting them around the course. So there are some closer battles potentially brewing, but beyond this microcosm of the racetrack, this is the action. This is where it all is. So Elico on Hertog, Borowick on Zhuig. Zhuig on Geese, actually. That could be a much more contested position. Zhuig's really in a bit of a rock and a hard place. 2 minutes on the clock, meaning around 1.5 laps left, give or take. Looks like we will just get to the very end of the laps. 2 minute 34, meaning that, yeah, we will... this will be the last lap, effectively. The last lap of our racing today. Osborne, I gotta say, I'm mighty impressed by Osborne. There's a lot of drivers in a very small pack here on the course. You can see Zhuig is going to be tailing on Geese. You have Borowick and Hertog as well as Elico all trying to sort of fight for the same kind of racing room. But in all of this, fields are a-changing. We've just come out of Pouon, and Osborne is going to be clear, well clear in fact, of Fassel. It's even got another BMW standing between the two cars. Bit of leveraging of on-track traffic is never a bad thing when it comes to the leaders trying to keep their positions at bay. Down the Kemmel Straight, last real chance. Borowick going on the offensive, but closing in, not overtaking. Borowick, oh, getting a little bit snappy. Barely holding it together, but almost going on the attack. Actually managing to turn that into a bit of an attack, despite first impressions. Pushing around the outside, keeping the nose in, having to dip back, mind, but still seriously impressive. But here we go. As he crosses the line here, congratulations, Tom Osborne, Davide Fasol into second place. Third place is going to go to Alistair Ramsey. And then the rest of the field is about to follow suit. So congratulations, of course, to the 23 finishers on the, well, on the track today, of what's left of it, because it looks like there's a big old puddly mess where Spa Francorchamps used to be. And the field is about to relegate and concede to its final positions. Callum Scotland into P4, with Coppernoll into 5th. More cars coming through, but so checking in on any potential final battles from this mid-pack, and then we'll do a whole review of the entire order to close things off. There you go, so completing and finish things off here. Raw V8 power as spins adorn the racetrack. Alico going for a little bit of a celebratory spin to finish things off, but let's take a real look at the whole order. So as it stands, and as it will stay, Osborne, Fasol, Ramsey, top 3. Scotland, Coppernoll, De Vries, Geese, Zhuig, Borowick and Hertog are going to complete your top 10. And then looking around further, we can see Elico, Wilson, Sheppel, Alabosch, Birch, Riley, Zabinda, Kerner, Cloyson and Flint complete P11 through 20. Finally, with your finishers before we talk DNF is Jalise, Stijink and Gibby. And then we didn't get to see to the end of the course. It was Hill, Tedder, Fefa, Forte, Montero, Dawes, Willems, Accuracy, Perry, and Gigante, with Alex Obi and Nathan Warren not completing tonight's racing. That's where we're going to do it for today, folks. Now, again, it has been an absolute pleasure. And we do hope to return again soon in the future. But for now, we hope that you at GRDC enjoy the rest of the championship. We hope that the rest of you at home watching enjoyed the stream tonight. And whatever may come forward, I'm sure be sure to keep it here at GRDC. We're very close to 400 subscribers on the YouTube channel, and I'm sure that's a mean old milestone that means a lot to the team. But for now, this is where we're going to close it, folks. So thank you, take care as always, and we'll see you when we see you. For now, it's goodbye.